Hi friends, I'm Amy and this is A-Star Reads, and it's time for the October round of the Game of a Bookish Life. September was a pretty good reading month as far as larger books go, but I didn't get a lot of books accomplished. I didn't get a lot of books read. So if we look back to my September TBR for the Game of Bookish Life, and these were the books I was supposed to read, I only read this one. I read one. So I didn't even get a chance to crack open these three, and I am going to keep them on my TBR because there may be opportunities in October for me to read them, but I am going to prioritize my October TBR first. And because it's October, I'm hoping to add a whole bunch more spooky reads. And for this reason, for HRCYED, for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, I have decided that I'm not going to spin my spinner wheel by randomizing those challenges for the month of October. I'm just going to go with the spooky creatures prompt. And I'll tell you all about that particular challenge and the books I'm hoping to read for, thinking about reading for it, after I've already spun for the Game of Bookish Life and picked those books. So stay tuned for that. And as far as the viewer prompts go for the month of September, I'm not going to actually spin the winner in this video because I decided to give everybody through the end of the month to finish those prompts. And so you have until the 30th of September to enter all your books, all your submissions for the viewer prompts. Shortly after that, I will use my spinner wheel to determine who's the winner for this quarter, the third quarter's subscriber giveaway. So make sure that you comment in the comment section of that video and let us know which of the prompts you submitted and all the information I ask you to include in that. For the month of October, we're starting the next quarter, and I'm only going to have one viewer prompt for you, and like usual, it will be the final spin that I do. And thank you to everyone who did submit early in September for your viewer prompts, because I did get at least 10 of you to submit prompts before I had to play the game for this particular round. So I will be able to start my first move, my first book prompt, with 10 spaces because of you. So thank you very much. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and just get into the game. If you're unfamiliar with my game, I will link the January video where I describe a lot of the rules and the changes that I've made to the game up here. And of course, you can always go and check out the playlist and see what I have done with this game over the years, because I've been playing it for quite a few years. Okay, so here's the board. Last time we played, we ended up on this diversity spinner wheel, and I'm going to be starting with 4 prompts, and the very first one is going to be thanks to you. I get to move 10 spaces, and then I'll do 3 spins after that, and the final prompt that I get will be the viewer prompt as well. So before I do anything, I will, once I move 10 places, get stuck here, and I've got to figure out if I'm going to be going to the left or the right. So if I roll a 1 through 5, I will be going to the left. And if I roll 6 through 10, I will go to the right. Let's see what's gonna happen. 6, okay. I'm going to the right. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A bookish book. Oh, that's a nice, easy first prompt. I love a good bookish book. So prompt number 1 is a bookish book, which is actually perfect because not only do I love bookish books, but one of my HRCYED new releases that I need to read, Cece's going crazy, is The Secret Book Society by Madeline Martin. This one recently was in August. I think this one was released in August. It's all about these women in London in 1895 that have very oppressive relationships, lifestyles, and they use this book society, this secret book society, to help them find some autonomy, find some strength in themselves. And it just sounds like my type of book. I really do love historical fiction. I don't read a lot of historical fiction as much as I love the genre, and it's beautiful. Look at this book. This is really pretty. I'm looking forward to reading this book. It's not too long, and I think that it will give me a lot of those, strength and female vibes, which I love. Okay, I adjusted the board a little bit so that you can see more of the route, and we're gonna find out what my second prompt is with spin number 1. 4, moving 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Most recently published. Oh, a new release. I need to read new releases for HRCYED, so that's perfect. Prompt number 2 was most recently published, which works out perfectly because for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, we have to read a new release every single month. I haven't decided what October's is going to be yet. I won't until I put out my next HRCYED video. But for September, and the most recently published book I own currently, I have Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. And this is an author where this year, this fall, in 2025, all of a sudden I have this bug up my butt that I want to read from Rachel Harrison. Not that I didn't care about this author in the past, but I never really had any me a huge desire, but this year I'm like, oh, I want to read Cackle, and I want to read Play Nice, and I want to read these books by this author and give her a real good shot. So I'm excited about this one because this one's about a demon-possessed house. Well, maybe. There's this main character named Cleo, and she's a content creator, and I don't think I've read a lot of books by content creator, or like where the main character's a content creator, so that'll be fun because I'm a content creator. And she and her siblings, her sisters, were raised in this possessed house. Her sisters don't see it that way. They see it as a childhood full of trauma, and so did the Courts, because they ended up taking these girls away from their mother. And now, in the future, their mother has passed away, and they're all getting access to this house because it is left to them. Well, the sisters are like, oh, that's childhood trauma that I don't want to deal with. But Cleo's like, hey, look, it's a house we could flip. How cool. Maybe I can get content creation out of this. So I'm interested to see how much of it was a really difficult childhood versus is there an actual demon possessing this house. I'm excited to give this author a try and then hopefully move on to some of her backlist because she's got quite a few backlist stories that sound interesting to me. Okay, we're moving right along. We are going to be working on our third prompt and spin number 2. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. An award winner. This is like working out for HRCYED perfectly. Oh my gosh. The HRCYED gods have spoken. Next, we have an award winner, which is perfect because I do need to read award-winning books for HRCYED. So what I wanted to do for this one, which made it a little more tricky, was I wanted to read something that was spooky-ish or spooky adjacent that I could enjoy for the fall season because I'm kind of really like into, these are the kind of books I want to read. I want to read spooky books. So what I ended up picking up is a book I've had on my TBR for a while that I've really wanted to read because it's by a Polish author. And if you know anything about me, I'm half Polish. And this is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. I'm probably saying that incorrectly, but here it says winner of the Man Booker International Prize. This is set in a small village in Poland, and we have our main character, Janina, who is a well-known recluse. She likes animals over humans. She has a lot of little small jobs in her life that keep her isolated enough from other people that she can enjoy her life but still make a living. And because of this propensity towards reclusion, people don't necessarily trust her that much. But her neighbor Bigfoot is found dead, and soon other people, I think, are found dead as well. And she sort of inserts herself as an amateur sleuth. She starts finding information and trying to get people to hear what she has to say, but a lot of people don't trust her or believe her because of her reputation, because they just think she's just some crazy woman out in the woods. And so this does sound like that interesting claustrophobic whodunit sort of mystery that I think I would really, really enjoy, you know, in a woodsy setting in Poland, in a small village. I think I would really enjoy that in the month of October. So I'm really hoping I get to this one. And finally, the fourth prompt and probably final spin. I'm gonna jinx myself, aren't I? Let's see what's gonna happen for prompt number 4. 1, a random letter. So I've got to generate a random letter, and that will help me determine what the title is going to be. It's a random letter for title. This means that your prompt is gonna be a random letter, and I will generate that for all of us. It's gonna be the same random letter, and fingers crossed it's not X. And finally, for the fourth book prompt, I got random letter generator, and the random letter that I generated was a U, and this is true for my prompt and yours. I'll talk about that in a moment. Recently on my trip to Alaska, I took a cruise to Alaska with the family. We did a big family cruise. In one of our stops, I can't remember which one at the moment, we stopped off at this little teeny book and game store. It was like a D&D games, and there were also books and stuff, but it was mostly games. And there was an author there doing an author signing. I did get one of his books. He was writing fantasy RPG books, but there was another author that worked there that had her book for sale, and that is Undeath on the High Seas by Ellowyn Beimler. And this one intrigued me because it's all about this zombie outbreak. You can see all the zombies right here on a cruise ship, and we were on a cruise. So I just thought that sounded like a lot of fun. And of course, it's fun to read from and celebrate local authors wherever I like to celebrate local authors wherever I go. People who are either self-publishing or going through indie publishers and don't get quite as much exposure. So I thought this would be a lot of fun. And it sounded cute. Like, you know, this cruise ship, I thought it would be fun to read on the ship, but I just didn't get a lot of reading done while I was on the cruise. But it does start with a U. And for HRCYED, one of the prompts is zombies. So So this works perfectly for zombies in the spooky creatures prompt. We've got our main character Penelope, and she and her friends decide they want to go on a cruise of Southeast Alaska. So this is also set in Alaska, where they're celebrating graduating from college. They get told at some point for safety to stay inside their cabins, and they end up having to stay in their cabins for days. And the food deliveries from the cruise ship and the notices from the cruise ship stop, and they are just kind of left without anything. And when they finally venture out of the cabin, most of the people on the ship are sick with this incredibly horrifying disease that apparently turns them zombie-like. At least that's what I'm guessing, because look at these people. These are definitely zombies and probably want to eat their brains. So it sounds cute, it sounds fun, and I can't wait to see what I think about this author's writing. It's not a very big book, so it'll probably be a fun little fall creepy read. Hopefully creepy. So that's how I'm going to fulfill this prompt. Now, if you would like to participate in the Q4, the final quarter subscriber giveaway for this year, the viewer prompt is to read a book that starts with the letter U. And for your submission to the giveaway, you need to comment in the comment section down below and let me know your rating of the book, what you actually read, and your thoughts about it. Like, did you enjoy it? Let me know also, was it hard to find a book on your TBR or what you were planning to read that started with the letter U? And that's it for the Game of a Bookish Life. As a reminder, this is my bookish book, The Secret Book Society by Madeline Martin. Then I've got my newest release, and that is Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. I've got my award winner, the Man Booker International Award, Drive Your Plows Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. Yeah, I don't speak Polish fluently, so that's my best guess right now. And then finally, a book that starts with the letter U, Undeath on the High Seas by Ellowyn Beimler. So that is my Game of Bookish Life TBR. Okay, so now for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, the challenge that I will be doing this month because it works with the month of October is spooky creatures. So the very first one for this one is vampires. I have a lot of options. I have options that I don't necessarily own as well, but some of the ones I own that I could read are Salem's Lot by Stephen King. I've been curious about this one for a while, and I do have the book. It's not as long as some of his other books, so it's definitely a possibility. I've heard good things about this one. And I do have The Vampire Files by P.N. Elrod. This is a series that I never hear anybody talking about. And I have all of these. And in fact, one of the books that we own is really hard to get. Like, if you try to get that book, it's like extremely expensive. So I'm like, I don't understand what the deal is with that one book. Maybe they just underpublished, I don't know. I am curious to try this one out because it does get pretty good reviews. So it wouldn't be this whole book because this is a bind up of 3 books. I would just read one of the 3. And I have a feeling it's just a detective series about vampires. And of course for this one, I'm also interested in reading So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison since I'm going through this Rachel Harrison curiosity kick. So that's a possibility as well. Next, we've got Shifter. So you need to read a book about shifters. I own Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a YA series about werewolves. So that is a possibility for a shifter story. A couple other options are actually short stories for this series called The Parasol Protectorate by Gail Carriger. I have been loving this series. I want to continue moving forward with it. There are some main characters in this that are werewolves, like it's a big focus of this series. So one of the short stories is called The Curious Case of the Werewolf That Wasn't. It's super short. So I'm like, do I count this? It's like 32 pages. And the other one is called Meet Cute, M-E-A-T, The Hedgehog Incident, which I also think has a lot to do with shifters in this one. So maybe I read those 2, and in my mind, I count them as one book. I mean, I don't necessarily have to. I think I can count short stories for her kid, but it doesn't feel like a challenge so much. And I do want to read those short stories because I'd like to read the whole Parasol Protectorate series. Who knows? It'll depend on what I feel like. I'm going to do a little bit of mood reading this month. The next type of creature is Magic User, and I am halfway through A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sengu Mandana, and I plan on finishing this book now. Well, in October I can. I wasn't allowed to in the month of September until I finished this book, which as you know now I haven't got to. So I can finish this one because I've been reading it within the period of her kid. This will count for my Magic User prompt. Next there is Fae Folk, and I highly doubt this is going to happen, but I would like to start, finishing some of my series, continuing on in some of my series. And one book I have for Fae is The House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 2nd book in the Crescent City series, and I have not had a chance to continue on with this series, but this definitely has Fae in it. So this is a possibility. I mean, these ones don't read that slow, but yeah, it still would be a big undertaking. But realistically, if I don't actually have the time or the energy to read that one, I could read a couple that are on my TBR, but not necessarily on my physical TBR, and that's Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I've heard great things about this series. I would love something a little cozy. That would be a lot of fun. Or I could read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, which I am curious about. You know, I think that this might be a fun, cozy fantasy again to read. So I'm either going to go with giant book or going to go with one of the cozy fantasies. Next we have Spirit. That is the next one. And one of the books that I have on my shelf that I have wanted to read for a while is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. I had started this one and I think I was enjoying what I had read so far, but I never got a chance to finish it. So I put it back on my shelves for like another time. This is about a place that this young woman moves into, and it's haunted by, I think, the previous wife of the man she marries. So that one sounds very interesting, and I do want to get back to this one. Then we have Merfolk, and I have two options. One of them I own, and that is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. I think this is such a beautiful book, and I am interested in this one. However, I have wanted to read Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant for a really long time. And I might just pick that one because I think it's a little more spooky for the Halloween season. And it's just like, I feel like I've just been waiting to read that book for many, many years. So like it might have to be that one if Merfolk come up. But this is still a possibility. It'll just depend on what I feel like reading if I get that prompt coming up on my little spinner wheel that I'm planning on creating for October. Hey, it's Editing Amy here, and I completely forgot to mention one of the spooky creature categories is zombies. And for that, I'm reading Undeath on the High Seas by Ellowyn Beimler. So this one will count for the zombie prompt. And then finally, we have an other category. So any other type of spooky creatures. And for this, I'm going to read Play Nice by Rachel Harrison because this is about demons. So it'll give me a way to use this one for spooky creatures. So that is it for those prompts. And that's pretty much it for my whole TBR. It's not a huge TBR in the sense that I really only have the 4 books for my TBR game, but I have a lot of options. And I'm going to be doing a bit of mood reading this month. So that'll be very exciting because I do want to read a lot of spooky books. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've read any of these books that I've talked about, which ones I should prioritize if I can, and if you have any other suggestions for these spooky creature prompts that you think that I would really enjoy and that I should try and prioritize. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens next month. What happens in the month of October? How much am I going to actually get read, and how much of my HRCYED prompts for spooky creatures I will complete? Hopefully a lot of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.